Hello, I am Mandeep Kaur and today I am here with a new lesson on IELTS Speaking Part 2. Firstly, I will tell you that there are three parts in this speaking section. The first is general questions. These questions are about your liking, your disliking, your habits or general routine. It lasts for about 4 to 5 minutes. The next is cue card, on which you have to speak for about 2 minutes. There is no one-to-one conversation between the examiner and the candidate. And the next is follow-up questions, which are related to the cue card. It lasts for about 5 to 7 minutes. So, in part 1 and part 3, there is one-to-one conversation between the examiner and the candidate. But in part 2, there is no one-to-one conversation. Only the candidate has to speak for about 2 minutes. Part 2 lasts for 3 minutes. In this, the 1 minute is for preparation and the further 1 to 2 minutes is for speaking. You have to create a story in the 1 minute on the topic that you are given. There are many options for cue card. This is a sample topic. Describe the situation when you talked in a foreign language for the first time. There could be some other options like describe a photograph, talk about your best friend, your favorite animal, anything. But the main thing is that you are given some topics, some points that you have to cover. Like when it happened, where the place was, which language you spoke and how you feel about it. These are the points that which you have to cover while describing the situation. The most important thing is you have just 1 minute for the preparation. You have to create a story. Use your personal experience. If you don't have, then lie. It is no problem in lying. But the most important thing is organize your time. That how you have to cover these all points while describing this situation. There are some tips that how you can organize your time, which I will tell you. Here are some tips for managing your 1 minute preparation time. The most important thing is be confident. You should feel confident that you are going to do well. You feel, then you will definitely do. The next point is make notes. You should make some short notes that what you are going to describe. Note the lengthy sentences. Just write keywords. Not lengthy detail. The next is cover all points. We are given some points that you have to cover. In describing the situation, you have to cover all these points turn by turn, not in the disorderly manner. The next is use introductory phrases that you can say I am going to talk about, I would like to talk about, or I want to talk about. There are many other options. You can use any introductory phrase, but you should use it. The next is expand answers. You have to expand your answers so that you can speak for about 2 minutes. In the initial stages, you may face problem. Then firstly starting preparing for 30 seconds, then 1 minute and then go for 2 minutes. The next point is organize. You should organize your speech in the intro, body and conclusion. Organize it in the way that just give a general overview that what you are going to describe, and then in the body describe all the 4 points, and in the conclusion just give an overview. Next is don't go off topic. You should remember that you have to describe only the stated thing that you are given. Don't describe anything beyond this topic. Okay? The next is use transitions. While you are organizing your speech, you have to use transitions by saying firstly, secondly, after that, next and finally. You have to organize it using transitions. Here is the sample cue card. It is better to use spider diagram for managing your 1 minute preparation time. In this, you have to describe the situation when you talked in a foreign language for the first time. Then the first thing you have to describe is situation. This is the main thing that you have to describe. And the 4 points that you have to cover is when it happened, where the place was, which language you spoke and how you feel about it. The basic 4 things that you have to cover. The first is when, second where, then language and how you feel. This is the basic structure. You have to cover all the 4 points. But firstly, you should start with an introductory phrase, that what you are going to state. Then you can say as, I'm going to talk about a time when I got a chance to communicate with the foreigner. Don't copy the cue card. You have to paraphrase it. Remember it, don't copy the question given in the cue card. You have to cover all the 4 points which are given in the cue card. Firstly, starting with when. You can start by saying like the time, describing the time that it happened a year back, a couple of months back, or you can describe your age, that when you was about suppose 12 years old, 15 years old, or you can describe your standard, your class, that you was in 7th class, 10th class, any. Or you can simply describe the time that when it happened a year back, a couple of months back. Okay? And the next is where it happened. You can describe the place, that you went to any hill station or you went to any temple, anything. That is suppose a hill station, you can describe the place, or suppose any temple. The first one is when it happened, when you was about suppose 12 years old, or your age, or suppose you went with your family to any hill station, or you went to visit any temple. The next is language. You have to describe which language you spoke, but in the meanwhile you have to describe something. You can state that you met any foreigner there. Suppose that person is doing something, or suppose he was doing painting, or you can say drawing a sketch. Suppose he was drawing a sketch on the side. Then you got a chance to communicate with him. Then you can say that you went near to them and started speaking with that person. But you have to describe the language. Suppose you speak Japanese language. It is the most difficult point to choose which language you spoke. There is a word that is named sayonara. Sayonara, which means goodbye. If you don't know any other language, just simply say that you speak in a Japanese language by saying sayonara when you send off that person. You can say as, firstly you started speaking in English, but when you have to leave, then you send off by saying sayonara. That you spoke a language. You don't need to speak that language in detail, just a single word, but you use it. The next is how you feel, but you have to describe what happened in the meantime. You can describe by saying that when you spoke that language, then that person was completely fright-stricken, fascinated, and he urged to stop you. Then he asked you that how you come to know about that word. There is what happened in the meantime. And the next is how you feel. You can say that conversing with them was a great experience for you, or when finally you send off, that person gave you a t-shirt. Anything you can say is gave you a camera, then click a selfie, anything you can mention. You was delighted, on cloud 9. You can use an idiom. Or you can say that that person give you a t-shirt when you send off. You have to expand your answer. Now all the 4 points are covered. This is the structure that you can use for managing your 1 minute preparation time. It is important to manage your 1 minute preparation time. Just write keywords. Don't write lengthy sentences. Don't even try. It is totally waste of time. Just practice and you will do well.